What's up, friends? It's Voltfirecore. Welcome back to Set Showcase. Now we're going to be taking a look at a mon that has destroyed a metagame since it recently dropped down inside of it. And that mon is going to be Sandaconda. Now this mon was pretty good inside of NU, but due to the whole Crown Tundra tier shifts, it got dropped down to PU. And it is by far one of the most heavily used mons inside the tier. Sandslash was like number one for a while because it had access to Stealth Rocks, Earthquake, it was really bulky, and this mon basically does everything that mon wanted to do, but better. Alright, so taking a look at its stats, this mon is absolutely insane. Look at those defensive stats, it's just bulky as hell, solid ground type, and it has some pretty cool abilities. So it has Sand Veil, which is fine, but these two abilities that it has normally are definitely its best. So it has Sand Spit, which is pretty much like a shitty version of Sandstream. You have to get hit to activate it, but, you know, it's something, I guess. It's pretty cool. But the real good one is Shed Skin, which gives you a 33% chance to have your status ailments cured at the end of each turn. And taking a look at its move pool, which I will show you later after I showcase all the sets, or just some of the viable sets with its moves, you will definitely be seeing a lot focusing on the Shed Skin viability of this mon. So let's take a look at some of the sets. Now, of course, since this is a physically defensive ground type, it is definitely best to be running a full physically defensive set. Now, there are some EV spreads you can do to put on top of this, but I'm just going to be showing you the ones that most of the time you're going to want to do. This mon doesn't need to be fast, it doesn't need to do anything, but just stay around and go for Earthquake. Now, what differentiates this mon from something like Sandslash, or I guess Stunfisk, is it has Glare, which it's one of the only mons inside the game that actually have access to Glare, with like Zygarde, and I'm pretty sure some others, but this is a very select few mon, since it is a guaranteed chance to paralyze the opponent. Even if they're ground types, they can get paralyzed by Glare, even if they're electric types. It's kind of just like, Body Slam, I think. I think Body Slam can paralyze all types as well. At least I think so. But yeah, Glare is a really, really crazy move that, well, if you've played any kind of OU, you definitely know the strength of it due to Zygarde. Then it also has access to Stealth Rocks, which it is definitely going to be using most of the time as its main tool, you could say. And then, like I already said, it is going to be taking advantage of the Shed Skin with Rest. Yes, this monster gets Rest, which not only is annoying due to its high bulk, since it can eat a bunch of hits, glare the entire team, set up Stealth Rocks, it's at low HP, it can go for Rest. And it doesn't need to run Chesto Berry or, you know, try to wake up, because not only it gets the possibility of waking up, but it also gets Shed Skin, which at the end of each turn, like I already said, is a 33% chance to get rid of status ailments, including sleep. So you get to full HP, and you have a chance to just shrug off that for free. Of course, with all the Toxic, so if you get Toxic, your Shed Skin activates on that too. And then Leftovers, of course. This mon is crazy, so if you want to be really annoying, or just, you know, use an optimal mon, I would highly advise this, since Glare is a really good move, especially with this defensive monster. I don't know why they dropped it down to PU, like, I enjoy it. There are counters to it, but it's just, there's a reason why this thing is like 30-ish% usage instead of PU. It's crazy. Alright. The next set is going to be a little bit different set. This is going to be the Sand Spit variant. It's kind of exactly the same, but it has Sand Spit. So if you want to use a Sand team, which I don't know why you would, this is more of a higher tier thing, since I've seen some people try to showcase this mon instead of the higher tier, since, you know, maybe you don't want to use Hippowdon and you just want to have access to Glare. Since Glare is so good, I think it might be worth having the delayed Sand just to get a Glare mon. So yeah, this is the one that I see most people using inside of like the higher tiers, mostly like UU and OU and all that, since it's a crazy physically defensive wall. Like, that is not a bad defense stat. That is not a bad HP stat. It's really bulky. So yeah, exact same set, but with Sand Spit. Okay, moving on. We're going to run for a more offensive build. Now, you can change this EV spread to be more physically oriented, basically just depending on how you want to do it. So this is going to be the Coil set. So not only this mon has access to Glare and Stealth Rocks and has all these crazy abilities, but it also has Coil, since it's a snake. So Coil raises the accuracy, defense, and attack of a mon, so pretty much it's just like Zygarde. Not only you can go for glare and coil, and then fire off a really powerful ground type attack, but you also have access to Shed Skin Rest, so you don't even need to be doing the whole Zygarde thing, which is usually like subbing up along with leftovers. Now you can just, rest it all off and get your Shed Skin, so you don't even have to worry about toxicking or having a sub. So that's pretty cool. This is pretty dangerous if they don't have any special attackers, especially if they're only relying on like toxicking you or stuff like that, especially inside the lower tiers, since at least from my experience, there aren't that many mons that use things like Whirlwind, so Hyper Setup is pretty good inside the tier. I'm pretty sure the only Whirlwinders are like Hippopotas, which I don't see that much of, especially since Sand is just better to use on this mon. But yeah, you could do full offensive if you want, but I just feel the defense is pretty good. And if you really want to be crazy, you could do max special defense, so you can get that pretty good special defense up to as high as possibility, have the defense and the attack, and then of course the coil raises accuracy, so you don't have to worry about your Stone Edge missing. This thing is legit just Zygarde, but PU. Why is it PU? I don't know. This thing is viable in like, I don't even know. And it also has a Gigantamax form, but since that has been banned inside of Ubers, and I don't really want to, do anything Ghost set, and it's also really not good as a Gigantamax user, since I'm pretty sure its ground thing turns into some weird move, which the normal ground Dynamax move raises special defense, which personally I think would be a little bit better on this mon to, enhance its okay special defense to really good levels. Moving on, we are going to run for a Meteor set, since the only kind of sets most people are going to be using are these sets for the higher tiers or the lower tiers. The coil is like still viable, and I've seen some people use it like normally, but we're going to move instead of some of the sets that are a little bit crazier, since I was definitely delaying doing this video, since there's only like one set you should use this mon on inside of PU, and then inside of higher tiers you can use a Sand set, but I'm going to showcase a very interesting set. So this is going to be the Body Press set, since for some reason this thing has access to Body Press. So this is exactly the same thing, just Hyper Setup, but instead of being Hyper Setup with Coil, it is going to be Hyper Setup inside Body Press. So this is definitely one that you want to use maxed physical defense with. So at +2, says because it has access to Iron Defense for some reason, its Body Presses are going to be doing a lot of damage, and you can also deal with some of the more annoying types. Of course, you have to worry about flying types since you can't really touch them too much, but I don't really know how much it does to Corviknight. I'm pretty sure I checked how much a +2 Body Press from Sandaconda would do to like a Ferrothorn, and I think it was like 40, 50, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But I also gave this thing Rocky Helmet. If you want, you can use leftovers. I just want to showcase the physically defensive nature, because if people can't break this mon, and they don't have any Whirlwinders or special attackers, you can just kind of set up the Iron defenses, and unless they crit you, you're going to be resting up, and they're going to be getting a lot of Rocky Helmet chip, along with your insane defense already. So that's a pretty cool set that you could use. The next one is going to be a showcasing one of his more bad abilities, you could say, since Sandspit and specifically Shed Skin are just far superior to Sandveil, but if you really want to be annoying, you can use this. So Sandveil gives a little bit of a evasion buff instead of Sandstorm, which personally I don't think you should be abusing like Sand stall or Sand accuracy, stuff like that, since it's limited. So the only way you'd want to use this is on like a Smooth Rock Powdon with it or something. Some mon that can stay around for a while and also set the Sand up for a couple turns. But, since there's no infinite weather anymore, it's not as good, but with the Bright Powder and Sandveil, most 100% accurate moves have like, I think it's like 80 or 70 or something like that, so they all have like hustle bonuses to that, so it could be pretty annoying. Yeah, but again, I think you could be a lot more annoying just with Shed Skin, going for the rest and all that, and it'll probably stay around longer since this is relying on accuracy. But if you really want, you could do this to be a little bit more annoying, maybe replace Glare for rest, or maybe replace Body Press, whatever you want to do. It's just something you could do as a really annoyingly weird set. I just wanted to showcase Sandveil to some extent. The next set is going to be a Toxapex countering set, kind of. Now, this thing has access to wrap, which would be pretty cool. If it had a little bit better special defense, it's still going to kind of get messed up by Toxapex, but if you can hit the wrap, and since you have Shed Skin, you don't have to worry about burn as much, you could maybe mess with the Toxapex a little bit. I don't know. There's probably other mons you could do this to. It's just I think having access to wrap is pretty cool, because as you see right here, yeah, it traps and damages the target for 4 to 5 turns. So I give it max physical attack, since I think it's better to try to actually do some damage to Toxapex, since besides coil, you have like no real way to do this. I suppose if you really want it to be weird, you could get rid of some of like the glare and the rest and all that, or maybe keep the rest, just do like coil or something. So you could use this as an opportunity to set up on the Toxapex with like coils and all that, which would be fine, but I still think a Toxapex is going to do pretty decent damage to you with Scald, since you don't have too good of special defense. So yeah, this is an interesting set if you really want to deal with Toxapex instead of a really weird way. The next set, this is going to be the AV wrap set. So I guess this is another variant of the counter measure for Toxapex, or I guess Ferrothorn too, because it has Fire Fang. So what you could do is go for wrap. The Assault Vest is on there for, I'm pretty sure, just Toxapex, since this is like a trapper set, I guess. I don't think many people should stay in on Sandaconda, especially since it's kind of associated with glaring people, and most are going to want to avoid that. But, you know, if they really want to try to take you out right now, you could go for a wrap and be pretty annoying. Now, this thing does have Sand Spit, so, you know, maybe get rid of Stone Edge for rest and put on a Shed Skin set. Sand Spit, I guess, kind of works. I would actually think that Shed Skin would be better. And yeah, you can switch the Stone Edge out for rest or something like that. But this is just another trapping set, since I found its ability to wrap pretty cool. Definitely not as optimal as something like, gotta go back to those earlier sets. Yeah, some of this stuff, these are just the optimal sets that you should probably be using. Alright, so moving on past the weird AV set, I guess it's a countermeasure or something like that, we have this. So this thing does actually have access to Scale Shot. Now, don't hate me for this, because this is kind of weird, but having access to Coil, it can get its defense and its attack up and its accuracy, like I already said, and having Scale Shot, which, you know, it can miss, and Stone Edge, which is kind of associated with missing, you know, you can get that accuracy up and then proceed to try to sweep. I don't know. That's kind of a lot of buffs that you have to go through to finally do it, but, you know, base 71 is not a terrible speed stat. At +1, you're going to be outspeeding some important mons. So, if you really want to do something weird, you could do this, and it'd be pretty cool, I guess. Also, Shed Skin, so you don't have to worry about someone, you know, toxicking you. Well, you do. Again, it's relying on a 33% chance, which most of us have become accustomed to things like, oh, Scald, it's going to burn. And something like, oh, Thunder, it's not going to paralyze. There's certain connotations to moves and their percent chance of doing something depending on how much they're used or how much people complain about it. Because Focus Blast missing is the exact same chance as Scald burning, but people always associate, oh, Focus Blast is going to miss, or Scald is always going to burn, but that's just because people really bring to light, oh, that's what they'll do. That's just how those moves work. But anyways, yeah, so 33% chance is still not that good, but you can take advantage of it if you get lucky. So probably should try to kill them before they go for another Toxic, since you have no way to heal yourself besides lefties. Alright, so that's a pretty interesting set that you can use. Max speed on a Sandaconda. Okay, and then the final set is going to be a, I want to say a sweeping set. I don't know. Like, I feel Iron Defense is just so much better than this. Like, Iron Defense is just beyond, like, with normal levels. This is requiring a lot of garbage to have happen. But if you really want to use something extremely heat, and technically even suboptimal, you could use this. So having Power Herb Skull Bash, which is kind of like Meteor Beam, it on the first turn raises a stat, and then on the second turn it, you know, fires off the attack. But unlike Meteor Beam, the buff doesn't influence the power of the move. So with the Power Herb, it happens at a 1 turn, you get that defense buff, and you get a 130 base power move, which is cool. But with Iron Defense, you can pair that up and have pretty decent body presses, but I just think iron defense is better because that also means you could have like rest. But I always have to throw in the memeiest of meme sets, since this is, you know, set showcase. We can't just showcase the most basic sets because no one wants to see this as the only possible set, since these are cool, but you know, something a little bit like this is pretty heat, I have to say. So those are all the sets I have for Sandaconda. There are probably so much more. I'll showcase all the moves. Nothing here too insane. I kind of showcased all the good stuff. You could use like high horsepower if you really want to, especially if you're on like a Rillaboom team or something like that. You have Iron Head, Hurricane, something like that. Rock Blast if you want to deal with Submons. Yeah, and then all the other stuff is pretty basic, so nothing too insane down here. But Wrap, you know, that was chilling down there, and Skull Bash, so you know, maybe the moves that are not useful or the suboptimal moves, maybe they're actually broken. I'm definitely not going to say that the Power Herb Sandaconda is going to be the new meta. But, oh yeah, also it has enough speed to outspeed base 50s. Things like Azumarill, which usually you get to 200 speed, but I decided I want to go to 201 to outspeed the people trying to outspeed Azumarill. Very techie. Alright, but that is all the sets I have for today. So please recommend me a mon to do this on, since I really enjoy using Sandaconda instead of PU, and unfortunately, this video, by the time it's up, will probably be outdated, since, you know, the tier change is going to happen until like early December, and it's a little late right now, so depending on when this video comes out, this might be an irrelevant video, but you can still use these sets inside of NU. But with that being said, guys, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and keep on the lookout for my videos.